Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I have been contemplating on doing this whole YouTube thing for a very long time, but I've just never had the time to sit down and make these videos because of school and all that. My summer break started a month ago and I was supposed to start recording these videos a month ago, but I was lazy and it didn't happen. But I'm here now, and today I am going to be doing a book recommendation video. If you know me, you know that I love reading. I am obsessed with books, like literally obsessed with books. Not just any type of books though, I kind of only read romances, so I am a romance reader. These books they contain mature content, and so they're intended for readers 18 years or older. But some of these books are really dark, and when I say dark, I mean they contain rape, sexual assault, abuse, PTSD, kidnapping, dark stuff like that. And so before you read these books, do search up the trigger warnings for each book. With that being said, I also want to say that I've seen a lot of booktubers get backlashed for the books that they read, and I want to say that just because I read these books does not mean that I support the actions if they were to happen in real life. What I'm trying to say is that I know how to separate the fictional world from the real world. These books are just fiction, they're not real, and so don't come for me. Don't come for me, please. So without further ado, let's move on to the video. The first book I'm going to recommend is called The Stopover by T.L. Swan. I first listened to this book on Audible and I fell in love with it. So then I was like, I need to get the paperback, and so that is what I did. It is about this girl named Emily. She is from California. She goes abroad somewhere. I'm thinking it's England, but I could be wrong. It was a while ago since I've read this book, but she goes abroad somewhere, and on her way back, there was an incident at the airport where she was kind of getting bullied by this man who he was drunk. As an apology, the people working with that airline, they upgraded her to first class. There she meets a guy named Jim. They had an instant connection. They were talking and flirting during the whole plane ride. And the flight attendant was like, there is a snowstorm in Boston. That's where they were supposed to land. And so the flight attendant said, we need to make a stopover and spend the night in Miami. There they had a one-night stand. In the morning, Jim left. He kind of went like, I had a good time with you. Goodbye. Yeah. He's such an asshole, but yeah. He did not leave his number. He did not leave any information about himself. He just left. Emily was upset. She knew it was going to happen, but she was upset. 1 year later, she got a job offer in New York City, and so she moved to New York City and she goes to work on her first day, and she meets her boss, who happens to be Jim. His real name was not even Jim. This asshole didn't even tell her his real name. His real name is Jameson Miles, and he is the CEO of Miles Media, the company Emily is working for, and their love story starts there. So I definitely recommend this book, and you guys should definitely check it out. The next book I'm going to recommend is called The Mafia and His Angel. These are the first 3 books of the Tainted Heart series. You'd have to read all 3 books for this particular story because they're about the same couple. I absolutely love this book because I have a thing for like mafias. Anything related to mafia, I love. Like, I am obsessed with anything mafia related. Oh, Massimo. This book is really, really dark, so do search up the trigger warnings before you read these books. It is about this girl named Ayla. She is the daughter of the Italian mob boss, so her father is like the mafia boss of the Italian people, and they are known as the Abandonados. So growing up, Ayla never had a good life. Her father never really cared about her. Her mother died when she was when she was a baby, and she was always locked in her room, so she never got to experience the outside world. One day, her father decided to give her away to this guy named Alberto, who is a fucked up human being. I just hope people like him don't exist in this world, but we know the world we live in, and who knows, right? He abuses Ayla, he rapes her, he tortures her. Anything cruel you could ever think of that could be done to a person, he's done to her. And I don't understand why her father would give her away to this fucked up human being. I have no words. One night she was like, fuck it, what kind of life am I living? I'm gonna run away. So one night she escaped, and people are obviously chasing after her, and while she was running, she sees this car that's parked, and so she runs to the back seat of the car and she hides. The person driving the car comes in and does not know that she's in the back seat, and so the person drives off. After a while, the car comes to a stop and the driver gets out, and Ayla waits a while. After a while, she peeks out the window and she sees this huge estate, and she was like, this is not a good sign, because this place looks like the place I just ran away from, just much bigger and better looking. So after that, she got out of the car, and the security guards see her, and they started walking towards her, and this bitch ran inside the house. I was reading this book like, sis, what are you doing? There was so many things you could have done in this moment, and you decided to run inside the house. Anyway, I'm glad that she did, because if she didn't, this whole story wouldn't happen. So yeah, she runs inside the house and she goes up the stairs and she goes into the first room that she sees, and she hides under the bed in that room. The estate she just entered is Alessio's house, and the room she just entered and the bed she hid under is Alessio's room. Alessio pulled her out from under his bed and gave her 3 options. The first option was work for him. The second option was go back to wherever you came from. And the third option was he will put a bullet through her brain. Alessio, I love him so much. If Alessio was a real person, I will fly to him and I will marry him. Like, in my head, I'm married to him. So Alessio is the Russian mafia boss, and his family, they're known as the Evenshavs. Now the thing is, the Russians and the Italians are enemies. They hate each other with a passion. Alessio is a young boss. He is older than Ayla, a few years, but his father was supposed to be the boss, but something happened, and you will have to read the book to find out what happened. And so instead of the father, he became the boss for the Russians. Alessio kind of tells Ayla his name. He was like, "My name is Alessio Evenshav," and Ayla, she just froze. She was like, yeah, just kill me now. Like, I'm already dead. Like, inside her head, she was like, yeah, just kill me now. Because she knows who he is. She knows that he is the enemy of her father. And she knows that if she tells him who she is gonna get a bullet through her brain right now. So she kind of hides her identity. She tells Alessio her first name, but she does not tell him her last name. Because Alessio, he hates. Like, when I say hate, I mean he is trying to get rid of every abandonado there is out there. Even though Ayla is hiding her identity, Alessio, he's not dumb. He knows that she is lying, but he's not going to push it. He's going to try to find out by himself who Ayla really is. And of course, during that process, they're going to fall in love, and it's so good. You guys have to read it. So definitely check these books out. It's called The Mafia and His Angel by Lila James. The next book I'm going to recommend is called Sicko by Emil Jones. This is probably, okay, not even probably, this is my favorite book. I have a bookmark in here because this is my third time rereading this. Third time. Like, literally, I have so many books unread that are just waiting for me to read them, but here I am rereading Sicko. This book is also really, really dark, so again, look up the trigger warnings for this one as well. Okay, this book is one of those books where if you don't read it and the way I am explaining it, you're gonna be like, that's taboo as fuck, like that is so wrong, that's disgusting, that's incest. But it's really not. If you actually go in and read this book from start to finish, everything will make sense and you'll be like, oh, like that's fine. So it is about Royce and Jade. Royce and Jade are foster siblings. Foster siblings, okay? So Royce's family, they are really, really rich, and Royce's parents always wanted Royce to have a sibling growing up, and so they adopted Jade. But it wasn't a legal adoption because they didn't go through the paperwork and stuff, and that's because Royce's father, he knows people, and so they just kind of adopted Jade like that. Growing up, Royce and Jade always had feelings for each other, but they never acted on those feelings because it felt wrong. So there was 4 of them that grew up together. It was Royce, Jade, Storm, and Orson. So the 4 of them, so there's 3 boys and there's Jade. So those 4 grew up together, and those 3 boys, they are very, very, very protective of Jade. They're like the most popular guys at their school, and yeah, they're just really protective and possessive of Jade. One night, something happened and Royce left Jade. He left town and he didn't even say goodbye to Jade. And while he was gone, Jade went through so much shit because Royce wasn't there to protect her anymore. Storm and Orson also went to college at other states, and no one was there to protect her, especially Royce. And so she was sexually assaulted, and stuff happened to her, and she blamed Royce for everything that happened because she says that all of this happened because he left her. 4 years later, Jade is now starting college at UCLA. Royce finally comes back for a family reunion, and Royce is this whole new person. He has, you know, tattoos all over his body. He is like a bad boy now. He is a part of a motorcycle gang. He is the vice president of that motorcycle club gang thing, and they are known as the Wolf Packs, and they rule Los Angeles. And keep in mind that Jade is going to school in Los Angeles, and so, you know, they rule Los Angeles and she's going to school there. Yeah. Okay. Royce comes back and he is this entirely new person. He makes it clear to Jade that he does not give a shit about her anymore. Like, he's like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Just don't get yourself into trouble where I have to clean your shit up or I will kill you. Like, he's literally so mean to Jade. And but he's really not. Like, he obviously loves Jade so much. Like, he even says Jade is his whole like life. So then at that family reunion, Royce kept looking at Jade because Jade is like all grown up now, but Jade avoids him. She does not talk to him. She's just really upset about everything that happened to her the past 4 years while he was gone, and he is sensing that something happened while he was gone, and he keeps asking her, did someone hurt you while I was gone? And then she just doesn't want to talk about it to him. And Royce's name is now Sicko, so in his motorcycle gang everybody calls him Sicko because he has no emotions. He kills people without like a second thought. Literally, if you hurt the people that he loves, he will murder you. So yeah, and their love story starts there when she moves to college. And yeah, it's such a good book. You have to read it. Out of every book that I recommend, I will definitely recommend this one like first. Like, read this one. Yeah, so definitely check this book out as well. Alright, so the next book I'm going to recommend is called Tarnished Empire by Ava Harrison. This book is about Alaric and Phoenix. Alaric's brother was murdered, and he thinks that Phoenix's dad murdered his brother. And Phoenix's dad is panicking because he's like, I didn't do it. Like, why is he aiming at me? Like, he's trying to start a war with me and I don't want it because I took no part in his brother's murder. And Phoenix was like, okay, dad, like, I'll help you. Like, I'll try to seduce him, and then I'll get onto his boat and get the paperwork that he's holding against you. And so Alaric doesn't know that Phoenix exists yet. So anyway, Alaric goes to this club, and then Phoenix also goes to that same club with the intention of seducing him. And so while she was at the club, he was really attracted to Phoenix, and so he goes up to her, and then Phoenix turns around and was like, I'm not interested. Period. She goes, I'm not interested. And then he was like, oh. Because he was like, okay, no girl ever turned me down, and this girl had the audacity to turn me down. And then Phoenix walks away, and then he turned to his bodyguard and he was like, find out everything about this girl. And the bodyguard finds out who she is, and then he was like, so she was trying to play games with me. And so he was like, okay, I'll play along with her games. And so yeah, their love story kind of starts from there. I can't really say much more or it's gonna give it all away, so definitely check out this book as well. It's called Tarnished Empire by Ava Harrison. Alright, the next book I'm going to recommend is called Deadly Obsession by April Hunt. This book gives me Criminal Mind vibes. So if you love Criminal Minds like me, you will love this book. It's like Criminal Minds with romance in it, okay? It is about this girl named Zoe. She is always in and out of the hospital because she has a heart problem. She's 26, I want to say she's 26 years old, and people still treat her like a child because like her family members, her friends, they're really protective of her. So there's something happening in their town or city. So there is a serial killer that has been killing a specific type of woman, and so there's a specific type that he's killing. Cade, Zoe's brother, he is a cop and he is working on this case. Zoe is tired of people treating her like a child, of people thinking that she will break easily because she has a heart problem and she doesn't want to look weak. And so she becomes a crime scene investigator, so a CSI agent. And she is also working on this case. Cade, Zoe's brother, calls his best friend Knox, who is the main hero of the movie of this book. He calls him and was like, "Hey Knox, can you please come back to town? Cause there's this serial killer case that we're working on, and we need your help. Like, could you come back and help as a detective?" He comes back and he sees Zoe and he tries to talk to Zoe, but Zoe completely avoids him because she is upset with him. She is upset that he moved away 3 years ago and just left her. They weren't dating or anything, but he left town and something happened, which you'll have to read to find out about. Now, the thing with this whole serial killer issue that's going on is that Zoe fits the serial killer's type, and she is the serial killer's next target. Cade, Knox, and Knox has 3 brothers. They are all going to protect her, and so the story goes from there, and Knox and Zoe's love story also starts from there. And so this is a really good book as well, and you guys should definitely check it out. So there's actually 3 books in this series, and each book is about a different couple. I own 2 of them. This was the first book. I believe this is the second book, or it could be the third book, I have no idea. But this book is about Cade, Zoe's brother, the cop. So this book is about him. I didn't really like it. I read the first 5 chapters and I just stopped because I just wasn't feeling it. So I mean, you guys might like it. You guys should check it out. But I loved this one, but this one was kind of boring for me. So there's that. And if you love both of these books, probably check out the third book, which I don't own. But yeah, this book is about Cade and what's her name? Grace. Grace is Zoe's best friend. And so this is like sister and the best friend. This is like brother and the best friend type of romance, these 2 books. So definitely check this one out for sure. And if you like it, maybe you might like this, but yeah. Alright, so the next 2 books that I'm going to recommend, I don't have physical copies of them. I read them on my Kindle, and so I'll just insert a picture of them up here. So the next book I'm going to recommend is called Mr. Masters by T.L. Swan. It is about this girl named Brielle. She is from Australia. She goes to London because she got a nannying job there, and also because she's trying to escape Australia because she's trying to move on from her ex, and her ex like lives in the same town as her, so she just wants to clear her head and go to London for a year. Brielle thinks that her boss is a female widow, Julian Masters, so I guess she just assumed it was a female widow. But when she gets to the airport, her boss picks her up, and it happens to be a very handsome handsome man. So Julian gives Brielle a place to stay at his house so that she can have access to his kids easily, because he's not around. He's like, I think he's a judge. I'm pretty sure he's a judge. He could be a lawyer. No, I'm pretty sure he's a judge. So he's like always busy with work and he don't really have time for his kids. They fall in love. So Julian and Brielle falls in love, but Julian won't admit it because he feels guilty about his ex-wife's death. He thinks that he does not have the right to love someone because he blames himself for his ex-wife's death. So their love story goes from there, and I love the relationship that Brielle has with his kids. I feel like the kids, at first there were issues, of course, but like later on, the kids, I feel like they love Brielle more than they love their dad. But yeah, you guys should definitely check this book out. This author is the same author who wrote The Stopover, the first book that I recommended. So yeah, I still have a lot of books from this author that I haven't read yet. They're just sitting over there waiting for me to read them. So I love this author, so I'm gonna probably read her books again next. So yeah, definitely check it out. The final book I'm going to recommend is called Misbehaved by Charlotte Rose. This book is really taboo. So if you don't like taboo stuff, you might not like this book, but it is a student-teacher romance. It is about this girl named Remington, also known as Remy. She grew up in a really bad neighborhood. They don't really have a lot of money. She lost her mom when she was little, and so she lives with her father and her stepbrother Ryan. Her father really isn't around because he's always out of state driving a truck. And so most of the time she lives with her stepbrother Ryan, who is a drug addict and who is also in love with her. So Remy's father saves up money and sends Remy to the best private school in their city. Remy is starting her senior year. So she goes to school on her first day, and at her second period, she walks into class and she meets her professor, and his name is Pierce James. Keep in mind, Remy is a boss bitch. She may be young, but she is very mature. She does not take bullshit from anybody. She has no filter. She will speak whatever the fuck is on her mind, and I love that. Okay, so she goes to class, she sits down, and Pierce started taking attendance, and he addressed Remy as if she was a boy because he thought that Remington is a boy's name, and so he goes, Mr. Remington, and then Remy was like, here. And then Pierce says, oh, I thought you were a boy. And then Remy, with her no filter self, was like, oh, I didn't think a teacher could be so hot. Remy. So then Pierce sent Remy to the office. And then he was also like, your uniform isn't right, because it's a uniform school. And so he was like, make sure you get the correct shoes. And keep in mind that Remy is from a really poor family and she couldn't afford the shoes. Like, even the uniform was already expensive enough. And Pierce thinks that Remy is just another spoiled brat like every other, student in the school. But she's really not. And she just couldn't afford the damn shoes, damn. But he kept like bugging her about getting those shoes because he doesn't know. Anyway, so the first day of school ended, and Ryan, Remy's stepbrother, picks her up from school on a motorcycle, and Pierce saw her get onto the motorcycle, and he was very shocked and angry, not at her but at Ryan, because he has been looking for Ryan everywhere, because Ryan is responsible for Pierce's sister's death and he wants his revenge. And at first he does not know the relationship between Remy and Ryan, and he, keep in mind that Ryan is a drug addict and Remy is in trouble, and Pierce is afraid for Remy because he doesn't want Remy to become another victim like his sister. And so their love story starts there. So much tension. It's like they want to be together but they can't. So it's like, yeah. But it's a really good book and you guys should give it a chance. And I am sure you guys will love it. So yeah, definitely check it out. Alright, so that is all the books for now. I think I'm going to be doing these types of videos, so like book recommendation videos, twice a month maybe, depending on how much reading I get done. This channel isn't going to be just books. It's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff I have not even planned yet, but comment down below what type of videos you guys want to see from me, because at this point I have no idea what I'm doing, but I want to know what you guys want to see from me. Thank you so much for watching my video, and also it would mean the world to me if you guys would like and subscribe. Yeah, it would mean the world to me and it would make me so happy. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.